Hey everyone, welcome back for the live ReactJS for 4 days of workshop. So today we're going to cover a lot that we have seen in the day 2, but day 3 there is no live. Day 4 we're going to cover the remaining things in that. So we're going to see about how to list rendering, how to use the conditional rendering, how to work with the destructuring properties, and how to go with the hooks and all. We're going to cover it out, and that will give you a whole idea about how to get into the React. Okay, so if you are in, just give a comment like we are ready to go with that. Like that, just give a comment, and the structure is going to be the same. We will provide you a advanced link. If you fill this advanced link, you will get a certificate. Okay, so that is what we're going to provide. Okay, so today my voice is that not that much good because I'm not feel well, so that is why. Okay, so if you have any disturbance, please fill it in the comment. I will watch you and I reply to you. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is what we have already done, and we worked with some of the props property and how the class based re-rendering is happened, and what are the things that we need to do to work with the set state, like because of its asynchronous and so much of this. How days will be the steady, sir? So how it's going to be today and tomorrow only. It's going to be today and tomorrow only. And previously we have covered 2 days, right? So this is going to be today and tomorrow only. It is a, like it's going to be a very beginner to advanced workshops only, not a master. Everything in React we are not covering. We just giving a bits like what are the beginner essential thing that you need to. If you learn this core concept, then everything will be the same. If you go to be whatever the application that you are building, it's going to be the same. Only thing is that you need to explore some other hooks, and you need to work with the API calls and all. That's what we need to. That's what that you need to do. Okay. Okay. So that's what we need to do. Okay, so that is what we need to do. Once it is done, we can go for that. Okay. Okay, so this is what we actually this is what we actually done with the yesterday class. So we will start the application and we will do what are the balancing that we are remaining that go with it. So you need ES6 concepts. So without ES6 concepts in JavaScript, we are not able to cover all the, like, we are not getting to React, and we are not able to work with the React. Okay, so that is not completely not possible. So you need to know about JavaScript and JavaScript ES6 concepts to get and asynchronous to know how it is working, and then only you can understand. Like every time we are working with the components, then only we can able to understand it. Okay, so I just say React start. So this is a script that we are going to build. Okay, so HTML CSS from basic live classes plea. Yeah, it will be taken. It will be taken. I maybe the next week. I don't know the exactly same thing, but maybe the you can expect. Sorry. So you can expect this Sunday, like this Saturday, we're going to take 3 hours. In the 3 hours, mostly the HTML and CSS part, what are the basics you are asking, right? So it's going to cover a lot. Okay, so Saturday you can expect. Saturday you can expect the 3 hours we're going to take the HTML and CSS. It's going to be in live workshop for 3 hours. You can attend it, and the information will be shared in the WhatsApp group, and the WhatsApp group link will also shared in here. You can able to you can check the, like, it will be shared soon. Okay, so you can do that. CSS in the first week of every month. Yeah, every month first week CSS basics will be taken. Okay, so and every Saturday we will take a workshop that is going to be a live workshop. We will cover all the things like CSS, HTML, and JavaScript a bit. Okay, so we will cover it. Okay, that's it. Okay, so this is what we have created, and we worked with some of the counter application. We see that how everything is working and rendering and everything we have discussed about related to props that we have worked with. Okay, so right now what we're going to see, we're going to see about destructuring. How can we destructure something in the function based components, and then we go and see about how we can destructure in the class based components, and what it is the difference between those. We're going to see that. So I just going to go for app.js. We don't want any other thing. Okay, so I know that we see other files, then the code would be confused. Okay, so I just going for app.js. You can see the app.js is completely a class based component. I just create a class based component. Inside the class based component only we are rendering everything. Okay, so I just comment everything, or we can remove this. We actually don't need it. Okay, so I just remove this thing. You can see that we are using the component, and we are using it. Okay, so we just going to create another component. So this component is going to be, it is, we just going to say this is going to be greeting. dot jsx. Okay, so I just going to create a component that is going to be a function based component. Import react from react. Okay, once it is done, so the next is I want to create a component. I just go with the expression type. I just say const in the name of greeting. I just creating a component. This is going to be an arrow function. I'm using arrow function, and you can see everything that we are showing here. It is going to be ES6. It's very important. Arrow function, destructuring, classes, functions, asynchronous, or something, whatever. Everything is going to be an ES6 concept only. Without that, we are not able to do anything. Okay, so that is what thing. So once it is completed, that what we need to do, it is going to return something. It is going to return something. So what we need to return here, we just going to say we are going to using the fragment. There is no difference between the fragment and the div. Okay, everything is going to be the same only. Here we are using the fragment. Okay, so like we will run this with. Okay, so here what I going to do, here I just going to create an h1 tag, and here I just going to say a paragraph tag like this, and here what I say, I simply say welcome, and here we can simply leave it like this, and I just use the export default greeting. Okay, once I done, that's it. So we go for app.js, we can add the component here. We just want to add greeting here. Okay, so it is auto imported, so we don't want to care about that. Okay, once it is done, we will go for our application. We can able to see welcome here. Okay, so that is fine. So what I need to do is I need to pass a props, and that props I need to render it. I just want to use it here. So in usually how will we do, we will do it here. So I just say name, and this name is going to be, I just going to say like this. Okay, so I'm giving my name into it, and inside that, that's it, and I giving another property, and that is going to be we can say that is I said this, and I just here I just going to say I'm here I just say I am interested in learning JavaScript. Like this we can give. Okay, so two properties we are giving. So that is that what the properties that the props that we are passing inside the greet, right? So that we are passing inside the greet. So I just go for the greet, and here how we can fetch, how we can get it. Here we simply say props, and inside if we use the props, not this one, it is a class based component, simply say props, and we use the props, what it is going to happen, I simply say prop. So what it has happened, so this is going to return an object, and inside that object we're going to have all this property, right? So if you log the console.log, we can able to see that how it is doing. So simply what I going to do, so here if it is a JavaScript code, I just going to mention props dot, and inside that we whatever the value that we have given, it is going to be there. I just simply say name. Okay, so I just going to change this to name, and here you can see we will get the name of the person, we can able to see it, right? So that is how it is work. So I just give an space here, once I do, you can able to see it is done. And here what I need to do, the same thing, here I just going to say props, instead of name I just going to say what is the next thing we give the designation as des, right? Des, right? So if I mention it, go for here, and you can able to see I'm interested in learning JavaScript, it is that, right? That is fine. So this is not like not a good way. Now we can say like that every time we are calling the props, right? So even though it is going to be an object, so we can able to, what we can do means we can able to use the destructuring function to destructure an object, and we can able to destructure an an array. So what we will do means, in ES6 we have destructuring property. If it is going to be an array, we use the square bracket to declare to destructure it, and we use the curly braces to destructure and what this props. So there are in function based components there are two methods to destructure. How is we are getting an argument here, right? So here itself we can able to destructure. So though it is what it is going to be, this props is going to be, it is form, what it is going to form, it is going to form an object only. So what we can do, it is an object, here we can destructure it. So if I use the curly braces, we can able to, we don't want to use the what the props and everything, we don't want to tell. We inside that what are the properties that I need to access. I need to access the name, and I need to access the what DES. So these two things I need to access. So once I destructured it, here instead of writing props dot name, we simply write name, and here we can write this like this. So once it is done, you go here, it is going to be same only. So what is happening? So the destructuring, we don't do anything, we do the destructuring only. So we don't do anything, we just do the destructuring only. So in this destructuring, what we have done means we just getting the values that is inside that object. Okay, so we are getting the properties that are that is inside the object, we are just fetching it. Okay, that is what we are doing here. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. Okay, thank you. Okay, fine. So that is what we are doing here. There is another way also destructuring, how we can able to do is, that is going to be the method 2 when it comes to a function based component. How we can do means, that is normally we do in the JavaScript. What we will do means, instead of destructuring here, we will have the properties props. I just mentioned this as props, like this props here. And what we can do, I just simply say const. Here we can go and we can say console.log props. Okay, simply like that. I just use the console.log props, and what I'm going to do right now, I just remove this. Okay, and I go here, right click and inspect, go for the console. We can see an object, don't care about the error right now. So you can see there is an object is created. Inside that object, the props, that is going to be the props objects, right? So inside the object, we have the name property and the description property. So if I use the destructuring, we can able to parse it. So how we can destructure it means, simply here. So what is the object that I need to destructure? That is the props object. So simply say equal to props, and this is going to be the destructurable object, right? So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a destructuring property like variable. Simply instead of writing n number of variables, we can write it in a single word. So here I'm just going to say the destructuring, and what are the properties I need to destructure. Here we can say, right now we have two properties, so we are using two properties. What are that? Name property, and I need to destructure what is the another one, DES. So if I done with that, if I log here console.log name, and I say console.log DES like this. So if you go here, you can able to see those properties are destructured. Right now it will produce the value. You can able to see Hari Prasad is there, and I am interested in learning JavaScript, right? So those values are displaying here. So what we can do instead of using this, so it is just something like, it is simply destructuring is what it is. It is taken out the properties from the object, and it is storing it in a separate variable. And right now we have the separate variable, that is what we're going to use. So once I want to write a JavaScript code, then I need to use this curly braces to write it. Okay, I use this destructuring and I use this DES, right? That's it. So if I run it, you can able to see like what has happened. Okay, so okay, so I just use not DESC, it's going to be DES. Okay, we can able to see here. We just clear out the console. Right now we can able to see it, that right. So this is what we need to do when it comes to a function based component, right? Now this is what we need to do. Just a minute. Okay, so this is what we need to do when it comes to a function based component. Okay, so then it's going to be class based component. Sorry for that. So then it's going to be class based component. How can we do the same destructuring concept in the class based component? Let me see that. So what we can do, we can simply say instead of greeting, I just say greet class, greet class dot jsx, like this. It's going to simply say here, and here I just going to say import React, like not only React, we need the component also. Okay, so I just going to say React from React, and also I just want to use the component property, component things. Okay, so here what I'm going to do once it is done, so here I just going to create a component. So how we can create, we use the class and we need to give the name for it. I just going to give the name, it's going to be welcome greet, and it is an extends from, component. This is going to be the extends from component, and we have constructor function to do with that. So right now what we need nothing. I just go for render, and I just going to create an object, like creating a function that is going to be return. So when someone calls this return, like when someone calls this particular component, what it need to return, it need to return and another h1, and that is here it is going to be an welcome, the same another person name. And here what we going to do, we going to see the paragraph. Here I just going to say this line, I like to learn ReactJS, like that we can able to do it here. So this is, we going to pause it, so we don't want to use it now. So though it is an we have two things, so I just going to wrap it with a fragment or div, anything that you want to use, you can use it, something like this. That's it. So what I need to do, I just want to export it. Export welcome greet, export welcome greet, export default from default x welcome date. Okay, so that's it. So what we can do, we can go for app.js. Here we will import it. I just say welcome greet, that's it. Okay, once it is done, that's it. And here we can give pass the property same like what it is has done. So here I just going to say name, the name is going to be, I just going to give Sabarino, and here I just going to give the des. Okay, so here I just going to give the des, and here I just going to say the same line, instead of JavaScript, I just going to pass the React.js. Okay, so I just going to do it here, and here what we going to do, instead of this we just say React.js, something like this. Okay, so we pause it, we go for here, and here what we can do, we can able to access it. But you can notice here in when it comes to destructuring in the class based components, in function based components, we what we will do, we have the props, and what we did, we will destructure it by using two methods. One is directly destructuring and another one is secondly destructuring. But when it comes to function, how we will use this props, we will simply use the props like this dot props dot name, like that we need to use, right? So we don't have anything like that. So where we can destructure, destructure me inside the render, we can able to destructure it. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, so in normal terms, how we will use without destructuring, I will mention this dot props dot, what we will use, the destructure, what is the name of the property that we have given, it's going to be name. And the same thing here we will use, okay, this dot props dot des, that's it. Go for here, and it will, you can see it will be working. So how we can able to destructure, because we don't have like functions, we don't have passing any arguments, and we don't have anything like this, and we are not doing, we just using the rendering concept, and we can able to do it. And rendering is very important, like inside the rendering only we have access everything that the props that we are processing it, we have access for it. So how we can able to destructure it, so this dot props, it's an object. So this dot props we can able to access it by their, so we are, because it is created by their instances, right? These props are passed by their parent elements, and that is why we are getting it, right? So how we can pass inside the render, we can use the const, the same thing. So what are the properties that we need to pass? It's going to be name, and the next one is going to be the description or the destination, and where I want to pass, not the normal props, it is going to be this dot props. So when I say this dot props only, we can have the reference of it, right? So that is why. So once it is done, now you can simply, you don't want to use every time this dot props and this dot desk, every time you don't want to use, simply you can go here and you can see it will be work fine. Okay, so this is the one way that we can able to destructure it. But functions we can able to destructure either directly in the parameter field, or you can able to destructure either in the some other fields, you can able to destructure it. Okay, so the next thing is we going to discuss is about event handling. We already discussed about the event handling, how it will works in the function based component, and how will be like event handling we are not discussed. We see discussed about how the state changes will be work and everything that we have discussed. So let's see how the event handling will be handled in function based component, and the event handling is handled in the class based component, and then we move on to it. So this is all about destructuring and particular thing. So this is way write an optimized code and write a very neat code when it comes to writing, working with object, we can able to do it. Okay, so here the next thing what I going to do, it is going to be event fun. I just simply say event fun dot jsx. Okay, so here I just going to create a function based component, and I just going to work with, I just going to say import react from, and I just going to create a react. Okay, so this is going to be and function based component, and here I just going to create a const, and this is going to be functional event. Functional events, and here I just use the arrow function to create the function, and we use the return keyword, return keyword, and inside this what we going to do, we just going to create whatever the component that we need to return, we're going to create it. So what is the component that I need to create is, I just going to create a button. Okay, so we're going to discuss how it is working and all, we're going to discuss, that is why I just want a button. Okay, so inside this I just going to give an on click event. Okay, so exactly the same, you work with HTML, it is exactly the same how it is works. If you someone clicks this button and you need to run a function, so instead of double quotation, here we use the curly braces to get the JavaScript code. So what is the JavaScript, like what is the function that I need to declare? Here we can declare here. So I just say handle check. Okay, so this is going to be my function of it. So where we can create the function, here we can able to create the function. I just going to say function, and what is the name? It is going to be handle check, right? So that is the function that we have created, handle check. And what it will do, if someone calls this function, then what it is going to do, it is going to log in the console.log. It is going to run like the button is clicked. It is going to run. Okay, so what the next thing what I'm going to do, I just going to say export default, and what is this going to do, what is the function name we have given? It is going to be functional is going to be functional event, right? Going to be the functional event, and I just going to use those functional event in the console. So here what I do, I just going to give this functional event so this one I just click here, and you can able to see the function event is auto imported, and I just going to end this. That's it. If I go here, we can able to see a small button, but without name. We don't give any name inside it, that is why. So I just go for the function event, and here inside the name, click, simply go here, and you can able to see it. So if someone clicks this button is click, we getting the button. So this is a normal way of working with the event handling. So this is how the event handling will be work. Okay, so the next thing what we going to cover when it comes to event handling, I think we want to cover it with the class based component, how the same thing is going to work with the class based component, and we're going to see about how to bind those events. Okay, so we just going to see about it. Okay. And we actually we discussed about this, right? So we already discussed about how to bind with that. So where we have discussed means in the app.js, in the previous class we have discussed about this one. When it comes to props and state, yeah, so we have discussed that, right? So what are the things that we have discussed in the event binding? If someone clicks this, why we are giving the arrow function? Because we don't have access for the this is dynamically scope, we need to make the this to lexical scope, so then only we can able to access what this dot increment counter file, we can able to access this. So this is going to use this dot increment counter. And why we are using a function here? Because we need the previous state. So based on the previous state, if you change, because every time the React renders, it will be start from the initial state itself. So we need to tell, like, you need to go on track of the previous state, then only we need to render that we have that. And why, what is this is of? This is going to be a secondary callback function. Secondary callback function, it will, here we can use to check whether it is, like, it is going to be the set state is going to be an asynchronous process. So which means it will not run, sorry, so test state is going to be an asynchronous process, which means it is going to execute after all the process, after JavaScript code has been executed, then only it is going to be executed. So based on this, I need to run something, I can use the secondary callback. So this is going to be an event handling. Okay, so we already see about event handling, event binding, and what is the error, like what is the error that we will get and everything. We already discussed that. If you have any doubt in the event handling, you can watch the day 2 of React.js, then it will be a clear idea for you. Okay, so the second thing what we going to see now is we just going to see about just a minute. Okay, so what we going to see is methods as props. We're going to see about methods and props, like we're going to discuss about that. Okay, so yeah, we see we will create an class based component, and then we can able to we do so several things in the methods and methods and thing, and then we move on to the conditional rendering part. Okay, just a minute, I will sorry for that. Okay, so I have code, that is why. Okay, so that's it. So the next thing is going to be we going to see about we see about conditional rendering and list rendering now, and then we go for the methods and props. Okay, so we will discuss that. So we have several methods like the alert method, and they are going to be JavaScript centering. That is not going to be that much useful. So we going for the conditional rendering. So what is mean by conditional rendering? So based on the condition, we are going to render an component. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. So for that, what I just going to create, I just going to create a component, and I just going to use it. So what I'm going to do, so for creating that, I just going to mention here, it's going to be an user greet. We name this as user greet.jsx. This is going to be the component, and here I just going to create a class based component. We will see how it is working in the class based component, and also the conditional rendering working in the function based component. I'm just going to say import React, and I just going to say import React, and here it is going to be the component from React. Component from the React. So once it is done, what the next thing that we're going to create? We're going to create the class, and I just going to say this is going to be user greeting. So I just say user greeting. It is an extension of component. Okay, so here what we're going to do, we're going to create and state. Okay, if the state, based on the state, what we're going to, we're going to check for a condition. If the condition is true, then I need to execute something. The condition is false, then I need to execute something. Okay, so for giving a state, I just going to say constructor, and I need the props And the next thing, I need to capture whatever things, the props coming from the parent element. I'm just going to give here. So the next thing, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the state. I simply say this dot state. It is going to be an object, and here I just say is if the user is logged in. If the user is logged in, why initially it is going to be false. Okay, so he is not logged in. Okay, so that is why initially it is false. So what I just want to say, if the user, based on the state only I'm going to run it. So here what I need to render, if someone calls this, what I need to render, I just give the rendering concept here and return. And what I need to return here is going to be an h1, and here I just say welcome TWD family, and here I just going to have another h1, and that is going to be welcome guest, like this. Okay, so two things we going to have. So based on the condition we going to run something, we will discuss that. So first what I going to do, I just going to render it. Okay, so I just going to say export default user greeting. Okay, export default user greeting, and I just going to remove this 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 we know we need this only. Okay, so I just going to remove this one and also this one. I just going to, what I need, I just want to import the conditional rendering only. So the name, it's going to be user greeting. User greeting, this is the component. You can see it is auto imported. So that's it. Once it is done, I go for the classes, and you can see welcome TW and welcome guest is that. So what I need to write the logic is, if the user is logged in, that is true, then I just want to say welcome TWD, welcome TWD. If the user is not logged in, then I want to display welcome guest. So that is going to be conditional rendering. Based on some condition, I need to tell what is the element that I need to render, and what is the element that I don't want. So how we can able to do it? So simply we will do that by using if else statement. So what I going to do, in the rendering statement, go for the rendering statement, and inside this we can write, instead of returning something like this is going to be a rendering statement. What I going to do, if we have this dot state, or you can destructure it, that is probably great, because we already discussed that. What we can do, const, that's going to be an object. So how we can destructure the state, we can simply say what is we need to destructure is logged in. That is what we need to destructure. Where I need to destructure this dot state. Okay, so this dot state I need to destructure it. Okay, so once it is done, I just go and say console.log is logged in, simply like this. Let us go here, and you can able to see we will getting that. Okay, so it is successfully destructured it. Okay, so the next thing what I going to do, I just going to create a conditional component. So how we can do, we normally go with if else class, and we also have some other things. First we will see the if else class. I just going to say, if the user is logged in, if it is true, then what you need to do, you need to return this one. You need to return this one, like return what is the thing that we need to return. We need to return h1, and this h1 is going to be welcome 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 TWD family, like this I need to return. Else if it is not like that, then what I need to return, I just want to return h1 welcome guest, like this. Okay, so I just go here, and I go here, we can see only welcome guest is there. So if the user is logged in, if it is changed to true, okay, if the user is logged in, if it is changed to true, now you can see welcome TWD family. So this is actually called as conditional rendering, and it is a method one. Okay, by using if else class. And what we can able to do is, we can create instead of writing return keyword every time, what we can do, we can able to create a variable and we can able to store inside it and we can render that variable outside. So simply I will explain to it. For example, instead of writing return keyword here, what we can simply say means, uh, mm, first we will create a variable that is going to be an empty variable. So here what I'm going to do, I just going to create let message. Okay, this is going to be an empty variable. By default it is going to be undefined. So if check the condition, if it is true, then message is equal to welcome twd, else message is equal to this one. We don't want it written here. Okay, simply we can write this. So right now what we have access to this message, right? So once this if statement is done, so then what I'm going to do, I just want to return it, right? So that is what I just want to say. I just say return, we can simply say return. Where is the return? And here what we can say, what is the component that I want to return. So what is the component that I want to return? I just use this fragment, and inside what I need to return, I just want to return the message, right? So this is going to be a JavaScript variable, so I just going to wrap it with the double quotes. So once it is done, right now go here, we can able to see the exactly the same thing. This is a method too when we are rendering a condition based rendering. Okay, so this is going to be false. If I make this false, you can able to see the guest is logged. Okay, so this is going to be the method too, and we can able to use the ternary operator. So that is going to be, I think, method 3. So what is an optimized way of using is writing a ternary operator. So ternary operator is something also introduced in ES6. So what it will do, so simply instead of writing if else class, what we can do, the syntax of ternary operator is check for the condition, and if the condition is true, we will give the question mark. That is the symbol for ternary operator. If the condition is true, then it whatever code that we are writing here, it will be executed. If the condition is false, then whatever code writing here, it will be executed. Condition checking, if it is true means this will be executed, if it is false means this will be executed. So that is what we going to do, we going to see it. So instead of writing so much of big things here, what we can do, we can remove everything. Here we have logged in. What I say, return, and here what we can say, check for the condition. So what is the condition I have? It is going to be if it is logged in, right? So I just going to say if it is logged in, whether it is true, then what you need to write, you need to write h1. It is going to be welcome family. Just say welcome family. And if it is going to be false, then I need to render this component h1 welcome guest, like this. So once it is done, if I go for here, you can see the condition is not okay. So what we have done, we will wrote the syntax here. I just comment off here, go for now. You can able to see welcome guest is displayed, and refresh it, welcome guest is displayed. So now go for here, if I make the condition is true, you can able to see it is going to be welcome family, right? So this is going to be the conditional rendering. So this is a great way of, instead of writing if else class and creating a variable and you are putting inside that, and this is a great way of doing it. Okay, so there is another way of doing it also. We can able to use the logical operator. So instead of using the logical operator, we can able to use the that and operator. So what we can do, we can, instead of writing this, we can simply say if it is true, then I need to run this code. Like that we can able to, code. So but what is the problem with here, it's we can able to we can able to, if it is true only, then it is going to execute. If it is false only, then we are not able to say like what I want to execute, that like we are not able to say it. Okay, so it is good to go with the ternary operator. Okay, like if I, this is not needed. So if I run it, if it is true, then this is will be executed, but it is not two ways. If it is false, I need to execute something like that. We are not able to do that. If it is true, then only I need to execute it. Check for a condition that is true, then I need to execute it. If else, I don't want to execute it, right? So in that cases, we can use this one. So right now it is true, that will be executed. So if it is false, if I make the false statement, then this keyword will not display here. So in that it will not display here. So it will be common, like we can able to use this, where we can able to use it means if the user is occupied that, like if the user is already used the coupon, then we don't want to show the coupon number, it is available for you, like that we don't want to show. If the coupon like I'm giving an example, if the coupon is not occupied, then we can display it, right? So I'm checking for coupon is occupied by this user or not. Like if it is coupon is there, then I need to show. Coupon is not occupied, then I need to show there is an offer available, you can check it and you can buy it, like that we can able to say. If it is not there, then what we can do, we don't want to display it. In that cases, we can use it. Okay, just a minute. So like in that cases, we can use this. So this is called a short circuit operator. This is called a short circuit operator, but we can able to use it if we want to render something or not. So like if you don't want to render something, then we don't want to use it. Okay, so in that cases, we can use it. Okay, so that's it. This is going to be the conditional rendering. So when it comes to React, so the next thing what we going to discuss is about, it's going to be list rendering. So for example, this is going to be an real scenario, like when it comes to an development, like we will work with the API calls and we will work with the real world data, and that so much of things are everything in a list only. So based on that only we need to render everything. So we're going to see about how the list rendering is work. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create in another component. I'm just going to create in another component that is going to be for list. Okay, so first we go with function based component and how we can render the list, and then we see class based component how we can render the list. Okay, so I just say list rendering dot jsx. Okay, list rendering dot jsx, and here it is going to be list rendering dot jsx, and here I just going to say import react from react. Okay, like this. And here what are we going to do, we're just going to create a function based component. I just say const, and here I just say list person list. It is going to be person. It is going to create person list, and here it is going to use some of the list. Okay, so this is going to be the function, and inside this function, let us consider we have an array. So that is going to be const. I have an array person, so I just going to say what all are the persons that I have, right? So I just going to say my name, and here I just going to say and some other name, do, and here I just going to say anything, like whatever the name that you want to like to give, you can give. Okay, so let us consider this is going to the list. So how I can render it, so we can able to render it by using ES6 array iterators. So array iterators are very helpful in doing this. So how we can do this means, we can simply say what I need to return. So what I need to return, so here what it is need to return, it is need to render it. So what I say, so it is going to be the person. I just say person dot, I just going to use the map method. So the what is the map method will do, it will takes a function, right? So here I just use the arrow function. It is going to take a function and it is going to run that function and run the function each and every element, and it is going to return an array only, right? So what we going to do, array of element. So here what we going to do, here each and every element it is taken, so that I just called it as name, and those names we going to use it. So what it need to return is, it need to return a h1, and inside this h1 I need to render those name. That much it's simple. It is going to be, we can able to render that simply. So if I go here, nothing, just oh, like we don't export it and all, right? Sorry. For default, and I just want to, you can see we make a mistake, it should be caps. Go here. Portion list. Let me check. This is going to be the person list. I copy it. Okay, it is throwing error here. Export D. Okay. FAULT. Sorry, this is going to be the error. Okay. So I just make this, and we need to import that. Import person list from the conditional tree. That's it. So once it is done, go here. You can able to see all the names has been listed out. So what is happening? Let's go here. You can able to see what the map method do. It is going to iterate each and every value that is going to store in the parameter name, and we are using that parameter as our properties, and we are rendering it, right? So that is what we are doing here. And you can also notice that there is an error is there. Like they will ask you to reference personal. This is not an error. We just refresh it. You can able to see the new error. It is each and every element should have the unique key prop. So what is that means? Like how the React is rendering. For example, if I want to change particularly this element, any changes for this particularly this element, then React need to know that it is going to be unique, right? So that what we need to do, we need to give a unique ID for each and every element, right? So then only we can, then only the React able to understand, okay, so I need to particularly, because here we are not telling using the DOM properties and all. The React it will take the optimized way of doing that, right? So we need to give a unique property when we are rendering a list. So how we need to give means inside the tags or whatever you are returning, you need to pass a key, and that key should be unique. So here, what is the unique key that we can able to pass? It is going to be like we can able to pass the index of it, but it is not an optimized way, like passing an index. Passing an index to an React things, it is not going to be an optimized way. In real world, how it is work means, for example, instead of this, what's going to happen, we have so much of things like we will create the real world thing. So what I'm going to do in something in real world, we have something like this. So it is going to, we have the array, and inside this we have an object, and we have something like this, right? So this is how the real world data are there, right? And here we have the name property. So most commonly the unique thing is going to be the ID only. So the ID is going to be and computer generated something look like this. So it is going to be very unique. So we can able to give it for that. Okay, so in real world it is look like this only. So it is computer generated one, so we don't want to work anything, right? So I just say John like this and go. That's it. I don't want to do anything. I just go here. I just paste it here, and I just paste it here. And the key and the name should be unique. So it is computer generated one. So I just simply like this. Okay. Like this. Okay, so this is how it will be work, or normally 1 2 3 like that also it will be that. Okay, so but in real world it is simply like this only. So I'm just going to give something this. Okay, so if I want to render this element, then how we will render this element? We just want to first what we going to do, we just want to map it. So we are mapping it, and here what we need to do, each and everything is going to be the name of it. So the next what we need to do, we need to tell what we can do means, simply we can either we can pass this object to another thing and we can work, or simply we can say this is going to be the name, right? So if we can say name dot instead of name dot name, here it is that, and here I just going to say instead of name I just going to say person. So each and every object is going to be person right now. So if I say person dot name, then the name will be executed. So here I just going to say person dot name. If I simply say it, and right now we don't have key, so for key it is going to be unique. So I just going to say person dot id. So the person it's changeable every time. Every time it iterates, it is going to be changed, right? So that is what it's going to do. So once it is done, we will go here and we will refresh it. Now we will refresh it. You cannot see the error, but you can able to see all the name has been rendered it out. So what is happening here? So the map method is used to map through each and every element inside an array. So here if I say person, so this is going to be number one. First time it is going to be a person. If I say person.id, that is the unique id that we given for the key. So the key is used to get rid from that error. So we want to give a unique id for that. Okay, so most of the cases that is going to be an id in real world. So the second one is going to be name. So when it comes to name, like I just say person.name. So likewise you can able to give, or otherwise what you can do, you can able to use the destructuring property, and then also you can able to work with. So how you can able to do that means, you can create what you can do, you can create another component, and inside the component you can pass this one as an what property. So how we will do that? So instead of creating h1 here, we will cut this one. And we can create another component in the name of person. We can able to create, like what I just going to do, I just going to create person. So right now we don't have any component in the name of person, right? So I just simply saying like this, we will create it. So I just going to say this is going to be person j6, like this j6. Once it is done, we're going to have here, I just want to import react from react, like this. And here what we can do, we can create an const that is going to be person, and I just going to, what I need to do, I need to run a function, and that is going to return, and we want to use the arrow function here. And what it is going to return, it is going to return a fragment, and that fragment is going to be this. Okay, so here what we can do, we can destructure it and we can use it here. So what we can do, we can simply pass those whatever we are getting, like where inside this person, right? What we want, we need the id and the key, right? So what we can do, we can able to pass it here. So we don't want to pass the key, we simply use the key here itself, because this is going to be each and every component. So I just going to say key, and this is going to be person dot id. So this is going to be person dot id. So the second thing what I'm going to pass is, I just going to say person, like we can simply say name equal to, what we can say, what I need to pass is the entire person. I just, what I'm getting from here, we can able to pass it, or we can simply say person dot name. We can simply say this. And what we can do, we will go here, and instead of writing key here, because that is going to be a component, so we can use the component here. So instead of here, what we can do, we can use the props, right? We can use the props, and we remove this one. And here I just going to say console.log, and this is going to be props. This is going to be a props. If I save it and I go here, and you can able to see person is not defined. Okay, let me refresh it. So where we are getting the error is list rendering 20 line, we are not able to see that. Yeah, because we don't export it, right? Sorry, I just going to export. I just going to say default, and what I need to do this, it is going to be person. I'm doing it, and where I want to import, I want to import it here. So I just want to import person, import person from the /person. So once it is done, we can revive it. We can able to see. So every time the person is, like every time an object is paused, the name is paused, and we are getting those names. So if I want to render it inside that, what I can do, either we can able to destructure here. So we can destructure here. I simply say const. What is the thing that I need to destructure? Only one we have, that is going to be the name. So that is what I need to destructure. And from the props, I need to destructure. So here inside this, I just going to say name. So once I save it, That's it. We will get the name and person object. So the exactly same thing you need to work with the list rendering. So if you have so much of things, so then what you can do exactly the same thing. Okay, so here instead of this, what you can do, you simply pause. You instead of this, you simply pause the person. You simply pause the person, and here I just simply mention it as a person. Okay, so what we can do, we can add more number of data. So instead of name, I just say, not instead, I just going to add extra things. I just going to say 34, and the next thing what I going to do, and in the age I just going to say about it is going to be 67, and lot more data. If you like whatever the data that you want to add, you can add it. Okay, so I just going to say 67 like this. So once I done it, what you can do, right now we are passing the entire person only. So we can able to destructure here simply not only the name, we can also pass the age also. So now what we can do, you can use the h3 tag, using the h3 tag, and here I just going to use the age of each and every person. Like this, we can able to destructure it and we can able to render it. Okay, so once we rendered it, okay, so right now it is not showing. Why? Let me see. Let me see that. So we have person and age, and we will log here console.log props. Once we log it, and we are getting inside that person, we are getting an id, name and age, right? So we are getting a person here, right? What we can give here, go for the list rendering, and here inside this person we have the person id and name and age. So we are having that. So yeah, of course. So we can able to pause this age here. Okay, okay, so I think we something's happened here. I use props dot name, props dot person dot name, right? Props dot person dot name, not like, not, this is going to be props dot name, and here I just going to say props dot age, something like this. And comment of this one, let us go here. No, like, what happening here? Okay, so this is also going to be an object. So if I say so instead of that, we need to destructure, it is going to be in another object, right? So we have person. Let me see what we can do. We can go for the person. That's a mistake that I'm making here, and instead of name, okay, so we need to first, what we need to do, we need to destructure the props, right? Sorry, I need to destructure. What I need to destructure, I need to destructure the uh, I simply go here. It is going to be the console dot log, and what we are getting the props, right? Props, simply like this. So if we go and log it, we can able to see inside that we have an object that is going to be a person, and inside that only we have the age, id and name. So what we need to do, so inside that we need to do that, like I just say person right now. Props, it is going to be person. Okay, once I done it, go here. Now it is going to be a single object, right? Inside that we having it. So how we can destructure it? Simply we can destructure, I just say const destructure the person, or you can use the nested thing also. You can able to use that to destructure. Right now I just going to use simply like this. I just say props, 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 right? So if you want to go inside, then you just want to use this, and here you can tell what are the things that you need to destructure. That is going to be the name and the age. So this is going to be the destructuring one. So here I just remove the name, and I just going to remove the age. That's it. So now if I go here, you can able to see the name and age. So what I did, it's actually we created an object, and that is going to have another object. So it is going to have a nested object. So for destructuring a nested object, you use the colon, and if you use it means you can able to destructure it. Or otherwise, simply what you can do, you just destructured this props first, and then what you can do, you create another one, and here you can give the name and age, and here you can use the props, not the props, person. So it is also going to look like the same thing. But if you want to do it in a single line, then you can go by using the semicolon, and you can be able to destructure it. It is also going to work in the same way it is look like. Okay, so this is for today. Tomorrow we will cover the balance hooks, and we will cover about the remaining things in our like balance hooks and life cycle methods. Then that is for the last day of React.js. What is that, we will complete React.js, and attendance form is joined, and you can able to take that. Okay. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask in the WhatsApp group. We will discuss, we will help you in that WhatsApp group, like that. Okay, so see you tomorrow. Okay.